and welcome to Spotlight by Amazing Workplaces. Spotlight puts into focus established names in the world of business to engage with them in conversations about how they impact their organizations as well as the community through their endeavors. Today, the Spotlight focuses on Anshuman Das, CEO and co-founder of CareerNet. Anshuman is a seasoned talent acquisition professional, having 2 decades of experience working for several clients in the technology, digital, automotive, FMCG, retail, and other industries globally. He started his professional journey as a co-founder of CareerNet after a short stint at Infosys. Anshuman has a vast experience in managing large-scale outsourced recruitment functions of several MNCs and large Indian firms and structuring long-term recruitment outsourcing and partnerships. In his current role, he has led and infused the transformation of CareerNet's business strategy by adding several new business lines like PRISM, the diversity and inclusion focus of the group, HirePro, the campus recruitment, assessment and automation focus, and FlexiStints, the staffing and managed services focus of the group. Today, CareerNet Group is a team of 1,500 professionals across the country and is a leader in the staffing and talent acquisition industry of India. A strong networker by nature, Anshuman also set up CareerNet's executive search practice, Longhouse. Longhouse has today evolved as one of the fastest growing executive search and advisory firm in the emerging sectors like internet, mobile, healthcare, education, clean tech, etc. Longhouse has not just been instrumental in building leadership teams to enable the brick-to-click transformation in India, but also led the overall transformation of several emerging companies by energizing human capital at the leadership level. Anshuman is a renowned speaker across industry platforms, focused on how to build high-impact teams, and has been featured in several media and news forums. He is also a personal career advisor and expert to some of the best-known emerging leaders in the country, and has accelerated their journey of campus to boardroom. So let's welcome Anshuman to Spotlight and learn from him about his journey as a successful entrepreneur and how he and his ventures are making a strong impact in the recruitment space. So welcome Anshuman to Spotlight. How are you doing?
All good, Ekta. Doing well. Hope you all are staying safe and keeping healthy in these distressed times. But so far, so good at my end.
Thanks, Anshuman. Yeah, times are really troubled, and I'm sure very soon we'll be, able to counter this problem as well as a country. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Anshuman, today's discussion is all about how you started your journey as an entrepreneur after a very small stint at Infosys, yeah, and how CareerNet has become one of the leading organizations in the space of providing hiring and recruitment for organizations, yeah. So tell me, Anshuman, from being an engineer from IIT Delhi to creating a 360-degree impact in the recruitment industry, what actually got you motivated towards the hiring space in such a big way?
Like any other entrepreneur, I would say we had a dream to do something, but not very sure about what to do. And I would give a lot of credit to my other co-founder, Rishi, who happens to be my elder brother also. And Rishi is a 97 IIT Roorkee pass out, and I'm a 98 IIT Delhi pass out. He was doing his job at Tata Unisys in Noida, and I was in Bangalore at Infosys headquarters. One day, Rishi called me up from Noida and said that, "Hey, Anshuman, I'm not really enjoying this job, what I'm doing, and I'm really not passionate about it, and I'm quitting, and I don't know what to do, but I will probably do something." I said, "Don't worry, I'm also coming to a native place in about 3-4 weeks. Let's meet up and talk about it." And when I met him, he asked me, "Look, I know you for so long. Is this something which you are really passionate about? Is this something you really want to do about?" I said, look, frankly, if you really ask me, I'll pour my heart out of it. Not really. I'm not really something I believe I'm cut out for this. And I think we both kind of realized that there is an inner self which we are made for. And I think we both really enjoyed working with people, solving their problems. And we said that, okay, fine. I think let's start something. And we thought about that IT is happening and we should start something in training. And we come from a tier 2 town like in Lucknow, and we saw that there's so much of great talent, but does not have the access. And I was in Bangalore, and I said, a lot of opportunity. And we said that let's start something. So I said, okay, you be based in Northern India and I be based in Bangalore, and we start a training and come a recruitment arm kind of a thing. And then I started really quit Infosys and I started exploring the market. And then I said, Rishi, hey, I think Bangalore is a much more bigger market. I was a frog in the well in 1 year sitting there inside, but I have seen it, it's big. Why don't you come over here and we both start something? And that is how our journey started. So I would say it's a dream to do something on our own. And we figured out that there is a very big gap in the whole HR recruitment industry where people from tech and engineering background have not been there kind of a thing. And we saw that we could actually bridge that gap. And I think the timing was right. It was the 99, 2000. Infosys still was a $100, $200 million company kind of a thing. So imagine the timing where we got into it. Offshoring had yet not taken off kind of a thing. And I think, the goodwill which we generated in our IIT days and our seniors and our elders and our professors helped us a lot. We reached out to our alumni. We were very welcomed about it kind of a thing. And obviously entrepreneurship at that time was something where if you don't had a job, you do entrepreneurship. So we said, no, I think the belief in ourselves is much more stronger than anything. And brick by brick, in an organic way, we started growing. And that's how our journey started out. I would say the timing was definitely, I would always put, the timing was more important, and our belief to do something was more important than the idea. And that's what I always believe in entrepreneurship. It is your belief and your timing has to be right.
Okay, pretty interesting. And the way you started at such a early phase of your career, even that's very interesting, because people take a lot of time, especially in those days. Right now, every second person at IT would be saying that I want to become an entrepreneur. But I'm sure, in those days while you were doing your engineering, I'm sure it would not be as prevalent as it is in today's time.
Yeah, and at least I have seen there is no playbook. So look, I don't know how people do it today, or is there really a playbook? If somebody says that there is a playbook to be an entrepreneur, I really debate that. It is itch which you come across and say that I have to do something different. And then after that, follows the idea, follows how you will do it, follows the team and everything else kind of a thing. So I would say, man, Ekta, like as in you're a woman, it is like becoming a mother. It's your inner voice which has to come out and say that this is the time. So, I believe the first is the inner voice which has to come in and say, I want to do something. And I think then the conviction comes in, because see, it's a roller coaster, right? It is not about going and securing a fund and just doing it kind of a thing. You will fail multiple times in doing kind of a thing. So, and then, obviously you have to earn a lot of goodwill when you want to do it. You need to know where to lose to win. So, and then obviously you have to be very steady. You have to be focused. So a lot of those things have to be there. So I think so far so good. We have been a very organically homegrown company today. We definitely feel proud from where we have gotten, but obviously miles to go ahead further. So
yeah, great journey. Okay. So, Anshuman, hiring is one of the integral functions of human resources. And I would like to understand from you, how does CareerNet help organizations create impactful hiring? Because there are a lot of hiring organizations, but how is it that CareerNet makes a, different kind of impact with the clients that it has? And you have had clients, over a long period of time. And what are the various domains and functions and levels and organizations that can leverage through your services?
Sure. So I'll give you a background in terms of how we work, what all areas we focus on. So as a company, we have a focus right from the campus to the boardroom, which means that We work with organization for their campus hiring needs. We also work with them for their mid-level hiring needs, and we also work with them for their overall top management hiring kind of a thing. And it is, and when you actually, and we cut across various industries. We cut across right from the technology industry to an automotive, to a healthcare, to a pharma, FMCG, retail, internet. I think today we cut across at least 8-10 big industry verticals from that point of view. Third, we are pan-India. We are there in Bangalore, Bombay, Pune, Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai, Calcutta, all the places we are. And these are our physical offices which are there kind of thing. We have like about 1,500 folks which are distributed across the country kind of thing. And plus a very massive affiliate network through which we work across another 100 cities across the country. So I think one is the overall the length, breadth, and the diversity. Now, in terms of how we work, when we work, it is not about, if you see recruitment, Ekta, recruitment is a complete supply chain. And when I say supply chain, it has got various components. So on one hand, how do you really like work with your customer to understand that what they need to hire, why they need to hire, and how they need to hire. Once you have been able to figure that out, then you really go out to the market and say that, okay, how can I position my customer out and build a talent brand? How do I can really attract the best talent? After that, how can I engage with them? How can I assess them? How can I interview them? How can I select them? And how can I onboard them? It's a complete supply chain which we is there. What we have been able to do is to make all these processes in a far more I would say automated manner kind of a thing. We have built a whole platform on which the whole supply chain can run. Plus there are services on top of it kind of a thing. So today when a customer comes to us, they may pick only one particular silo and work with us, or they may just pick a platform, or they may just pick a service, or they may pick up a service platform kind of thing. And many a times our ability to customize that solution for a company which is looking for a much more larger impact kind of a thing, our ability is there kind of a thing. So today as a company, I would say we impact across the various facets of industry, across the various functions of jobs, across the various levels of jobs kind of a thing, across India, and in multiple forms and shape of services which we can bring in. So we have roughly about close to about 800 plus paying customers which are there kind of a thing. We almost impact roughly about 25 to 30,000 jobs every year kind of a thing. We reach out to about more than 1 million plus candidates every year, which reach out to us. They get assessed by us kind of a thing. And you would imagine that only 3-4% of that talent gets hired. So it's a very strict, stringent screening process, which we apply to ensure that we really are giving the filtered talent. Plus for the remaining talent, there is a lot of feedback which we're able to pass it on to them. And they again come back improving upon that feedback. And then we kind of help them in their next move kind of a thing. So that's the ecosystem in which we operate today as CareerNet.
Okay. Thanks, Anshuman. Thanks for sharing the answer to this question. So tell me one thing, Anshuman. Right now, we are all talking about technology, the way it has disrupted so many functions and organizations. And what are the various ways, here in which technology has positively disrupted the hiring process? So we are all, hearing about the role of AI in hiring and stuff. And especially with the onset of COVID, people working from home, all the functions, happening remotely, how has actually, COVID led to the increased use of technology to enable hiring in organizations? We'd like to, hear from you because you are the expert in this. Yeah.
So as I mentioned, that recruitment is a supply chain, and the whole supply chain, if digitalized, will give you the maximum benefit and efficiency. What at least COVID has done, COVID has accelerated this whole adoption of technology because of this whole contactless phase, or let's say the remote working and the remote hiring. I think that has been the biggest, I would say, reason why the whole digitalization of the recruitment has happened. So today, like earlier, imagine a company wants to hire, let's say 200 guys from campuses. How will they do it? They'll probably plan ahead about 6 months in advance kind of a thing. They'll shortlist about 20 campuses. They'll arrange a whole panel of 4-5 people, interviewers, and they'll actually physically travel in those campuses and actually interview people. Students will come outside the interview rooms and they will essentially write a test, and then they will do interviews, and then they will announce the results, and then they will move from campus 1 to campus 2 to campus 3, and they'll probably go to about 15, 20 campuses, make about 300 offers, and of which 200 people will join kind of a thing. And this was a complete month, 2-month long activity where roughly about close to at least a few hundred man-month of effort will get involved kind of a thing. Absolutely tiring process. Okay? And it had its benefit of meeting people face to face. What we as a firm have been able to do is to take this complete process, digital and remote, and authenticated kind of a thing. So in fact, even before COVID happened, we were one of the only companies in India who had a complete face recognition, proctored technology already used in various campuses for their hiring. Even in 2018-19, in fact, one of our very large Fortune 100 companies was already hiring about 10,000 guys across campuses using this. And essentially, when we saw this COVID thing happen, the whole campus hiring and in fact, the whole lateral hiring got stalled. And the first thing what happened is this company reached out and said that, can we use this process for all our 30,000 hires across the country? And then the moment it happened, the news spread out, oh, this company is already hiring and we are not hiring. And we started like getting a flurry of inbound calls kind of a thing. Hey, we need to use this technology, use this platform. And just by being viral, I think that platform got adopted in a very, very accentuated manner in this whole COVID. So the whole, and then obviously, you know, there were a lot of friction point. The technology had to become to scale, perfected, various other things we started adding about kind of a thing. And today, when I really go back and ask the people, ki, a year later, once COVID is out, do you still want to go back to the old process? They said, absolutely not. We love it. And the reason is, you know, it provides us such a very strong access to the talent. Today, a company sitting in Delhi can hire in Tamil Nadu in a remote manner, which they were earlier not doing it. Who will go to Tamil Nadu, to Coimbatore, take a flight there, change one more cab, reach there? I don't know whether I'll get talent or not. I don't know if a person from South India will join Delhi or not kind of a thing. So a lot of inhibitions are there. So I think the access to talent has become democratic. The oral process has become far more democratic and it has become far more seamless. So COVID from that point of view, I would say has been a very, very big enabler to the overall recruitment process across the industry. And it's not only in India, I would say across the world, it has happened.
True. No, definitely. The way it has, the technology has shaped up, like you mentioned that suddenly it got viral. So, earlier it was existing, but nobody really felt the need of adopting it to that extent. Yeah, I'm sure people would be using it then also, but not to that extent. Like you said, 2018, 19, they were using.
See, the boon and bane of recruitment. It's a very transactional. Every hiring is a transaction. For one person you hire, you have to interview 8-10 people and then essentially pick one kind of a thing. So a lot of transactions. So you can typically make it very digital kind of a thing. Yeah. So that's the boon part. The bane part is it is very, very mundane because your interest is that one particular person which is going to join, not the remaining 9. Mm-hmm. So in a way, while every company said that I have a recruitment technology, but the usage was, so when you really go and do a survey, you'll find that 75% people will say we have a recruitment platform. And when you'll actually go and see the usage is as abysmally low as 10%.
Okay.
So which actually was the problem area. And then, if you're not using it, how will the feedback come out and really like improve on it? Or let's say take the case of assessments. For example, assessment becomes a very, very I would say in demand because the only way you can hire remotely when you are not meeting the person face to face is to at least have some kind of a qualified assessment done, which is a formal assessment done. Otherwise, we used to say that, okay, let me meet up and I will do it by gut feel hiring. Yeah. So now when we are remote, the gut feel is less. You have to actually go a lot with data kind of a thing. Right. So that is where we realized that and the only way you can do it is digital. It has to be proctored. It has to be really monitored well. Otherwise, there could be so many discrepancies which can come about kind of a thing. So I think this whole COVID scenario ensured that the adoption of technology goes up significantly. The technology improves far more there kind of a thing. And probably the experience is far more superior and richer, And, we have been able to cut down the lead times to almost by 75-80% in many places. Like earlier, a particular job rec used to take about maybe 4 months to close from start to onboard. We have been able to cut it down to almost as low as 45 days. So which is a big, I would say, improvement in the productivity overall. So definitely there are a lot of advantages. There are disadvantages also, not that everything is positive. But yeah, net, I think it's a lot, I would say, sustainable way of working. I see it moving forward.
Definitely. So in the future, what do you see? There would be a mix and match of both. If for I'm an organization, then I'll use a mix and match of being physically present as well as
yeah. So
yeah.
I would say, at least in the recruitment space, the process part, I would say, will 90 to 95% move digital.
Yeah. So more of elimination would be happening in that.
Yeah.
The elimination stages would be more digital.
Elimination, I would say the last round or the final selection is something which would probably at senior levels, companies may want to meet more face-to-face kind of a thing. Right. But otherwise, for a lot of the junior, mid, and those things, people will do fully remotely. And probably at senior levels, the final round or 1 or 2 rounds, they may actually do, I would say, face-to-face. And again, what will happen? See, this whole COVID has got extended a lot. So in this, a lot of people are getting hired and they're actually working remotely. Mm-hmm. And companies will see the outcomes of how these people who have been hired during the COVID time through the remote process, what has been the outcomes kind of a thing. And that will also give them the proof that whether they made hiring mistakes or not. Let's say if we come out across a data where we say we made a lot of hiring mistakes by remote hiring, which today doesn't look to be the case kind of a thing, then I think we are definitely looking at that this process will become very digital. But yeah, definitely remote working has its own set of problems. I would say remote hiring is not a problem, but remote working has definitely thrown up few challenges, which we as an industry are still solving for it. But remote hiring per se hasn't really thrown so many problems today.
Yeah. Thanks, Anshuman, for sharing, such views about the use of technology in hiring. I think that's really very enlightening for the viewers, and I'm sure they will know exactly which way we are going. So again, while we are still on COVID, how do you feel COVID has impacted the job and recruitment space per se? And what are the hiring trends to watch out for in the next, in the near future, basically?
Sure. So I think one thing which COVID did was to kind of make the world far more remote and digital. And as a result of that, I think the overall need for the digital talent went, I think, skyrocketed overall, and I think went many-fold. So a very offline company essentially were immediately out of business. An offline coaching institute was out of business. Offline cab company was out of business. So all the offline businesses just overnight became out of business. Plus, anyone who was a digital business, essentially like software Amazon or a Flipkart or a Swiggy or a Zomato, immediately like kind of started seeing, or a Baiju started getting at least 10x growth kind of a thing. So, and most of them realize that digital is the way to go forward, and this is going to stay for some time. And as a result of that, the overall digital technology and the digital adoption across the world, and not only in India, across the world, I think went at least 10, 20 times overall. That essentially pushed the talent market to a much more frenzy. So today, the need for somebody who's a digital marketer, somebody who's a full stack engineer, somebody who's a backend developer, somebody who's a data scientist, somebody who's a product manager, all these roles have just, I think, sprung up in a many ways. Second, if India, and particularly if you talk about the Indian context, what has happened is the whole offshoring industry has boomed in a big way, because all the US majors who had their businesses, they started going digital. So the whole offshoring industry has boomed about. Third, you will find that a lot of travel restrictions have happened. So a lot of people used to actually go out of the country and work there kind of. Now work is coming there kind of a thing. So that's the other impact. So this has just created the whole, I would say, the demand side of it. Yeah. Now let's come back to the supply side. Supply side, you will find that, okay, there were like a lot of people who could work remotely, people who were essentially not mobile and wanted, like, take the case of the whole returning mothers. I think it was a big boom for a lot of the returning mothers, because as in they wanted to work for 5 hours, 6 hours kind of a thing, didn't really wanted to travel 20 miles for a particular job. They were very, very good there kind of a thing. They had to balance their family life and work life kind of a thing. And I think the whole remote working just opened up the access kind of a thing. Second, let's take the migration to cities. I think people used to come in hordes to cities like Delhi, Gurgaon, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Pune to work there. I think now work is reaching into Allahabad, Jaipur, Coimbatore, Cochin, Lucknow, you name a city. I think a lot of people are working there. And you could see a lot of those economies in those places is much more booming kind of a thing. And you will find that the economies in the metros is a little bit subdued, but the economies in the tier 2 and tier 3 is doing that kind of a thing. So there's a whole, I think, impact of the reverse migration which is happening. Third, you will see a lot of companies from an India IT space point of view who were the outside India companies who had this inhibition about that I have to do my core work within my own office and it can't be done remotely or outside kind of a thing. That inhibition is no more there. So a lot of smaller companies who were not in India has started opening up their shops in India. So you could see a huge amount of companies which are starting out and leveraging the remote working kind of a thing. So I think the demand supply, both sides, there has been a reasonable frenzy because of this whole digital hiring and remote hiring and digital and remote working kind of a thing. For us also, I think, as I told you, the whole process of hiring became digital. So that also helped us to kind of address this whole spike in demand kind of a thing. Plus, we were also able to leverage a lot of our talent, which was in remote places kind of a thing. Plus, for us also as a company, a lot of like we had 1,500 people, and of which a majority 800 to 900 were in Bangalore. And when we did a survey recently, we realized that only 300 were in Bangalore, and the remaining 500 were in across their other native towns, which were there kind of a thing. And work is happening. So, which means that today, by just the sheer presence of our people, we cover 80 cities instead of 9 cities, which were there kind of a thing. So today, technically, if I have to say that, hey, I have got 10 employees sitting in Lucknow who can actually meet a customer there, it is there today possible. 2 years back, it was not there. So I think to that degree, I would say it is bringing a far more faster pace of working, far more democratic access to talent, and far more democratic supply of jobs kind of a thing. So today, for example, a company, when they have to start an office, they used to say, let me pick up the most hotspot in Bangalore where I can get the maximum talent. So they will identify a hotspot called Bellandur and they will come near there or HSR layout and say, I need to be there to get a talent. Now you need not to house yourself in HSR or Bellandur to get that hot talent. You could be sitting in Karol Bagh and you can still be having the access to a talent in HSR or in Bellandur. So I think that's the reality today.
Very true. Thanks, Anshuman. Thanks for answering this so well. So that brings us, to what CareerNet's future plans are. So going forward, how does CareerNet plan to continue being a leader in the recruitment space?
So I think a couple of things which we have as a learning, and every 3 to 4 years, we keep evolving ourselves. And I think, and in every crisis, I believe that there is an evolution which you do kind of a thing. When such a big crisis like 2008 and 9 came, we evolved further. I think today we see that this crisis definitely presents an opportunity. And it could, and if we do not catch on that opportunity, it could be our existential crisis. And if we really are able to take on to that opportunity, it could be the next orbit for us. So for us, I think what we've realized that the recruitment supply chain mission which we have been pursuing is real, and it will go far more places. And it has a scope of not just being in India, it has a scope of going global. So I think that is one area which we are really pursuing further kind of thing. How can we take our platforms not only in India, but across the world? For us, the whole belief about our recruitment supply chain, I think that is something has got really kind of reinforced in this COVID. And we realized that the recruitment supply chain theory which we had and the platform which we had have a far more bigger power. And scope for that is not just India. The scope for that is far more global. And we are definitely kind of going to take this forward in a much more bigger way. And we are today, in fact, we already have signups happen with customers which are sitting in Italy, sitting in Spain, a customer sitting in South Africa. In fact, we are working with a company in China right now to use our platform, and a couple of companies in US we are doing it. I think that is one. Second, we are also finding that this whole remote working also presents us an opportunity for us to tap markets which are abroad, not only for our platform, but for our traditional recruitment business. So today, a lot of our customers who are essentially headquartered in US and Europe, they have said that we have been very largely benefited by your hiring expertise in India, and you understand this whole knowledge talent market, the tech talent very well. Why don't you provide your services in Europe or in US? About 2 years back, they would have expected us to be physically present in Europe and US. But today, with remote working happening, we are fine and setting up their complete teams and working from here, and doesn't really require us to be there kind of a team. So I think to that degree, we find that the access to the work is becoming far more democratic. The technology acceptability is very high outside there kind of a thing. And plus the third area where we are finding on that we will go much more deeper is going to be the gig economy workforce, because we believe that the whole Uberization of the workforce which is going to happen, where people will over a period of time, as you pointed out, that they will do multiple jobs at the same point in time. And that's going to be a very new opportunity which is going to come out to be. That's another area where we are getting into. I think these are, I would say, the three immediate to midterm plan. On a long-term basis, we would at some point in time get into the whole talent upliftment or the talent training or the talent scalability aspect also. But that's, I would say, will put more the medium to long term. In a short to medium term, those three initiatives is what we will drive much more.
Thank you so much, Anshuman. That was really wonderful, and all the best to CareerNet and your future plans. Thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight today. Thank you once again. Have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you, Ekta, and thank you for your time. And once again, stay safe, be healthy, and wishing you a very good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Subscribe to our channel for latest updates on leadership interviews, webinars and educative videos related to human resources, learning and development, culture, employee engagement, and many more.